Greetings, my fellow Michiganians, Michiganders. My name is Jeffrey Hank. I'm the Executive Director of MILegalize and one of the attorneys who led the MILegalize case. We are here making this quick video today to explain to you what is going on. A lot of people have a lot of questions about the death of Michigan democracy and the blatant voter suppression that we've seen occur. There are concerns, obviously, about the total breakdown of both our legislative, executive, and unfortunately our judicial branches of government failing to protect our rights as Michiganians. What we're seeing here in 2016 is the corruption of our government. I hate to say it. I'm an optimistic person. I'm an American who believes in our better values of freedom and justice and liberty and equality and tolerance and the brotherhood of man, and that reason and truth should prevail. You see the flag falling there in the background. I'm not a politician. You know, this room's a little messy. I'm just making this quick video. I don't care about appearances. I don't have a speechwriter. I didn't script this. I'm talking off the cuff here, just human being to human being, because I don't need that. I'm not one of these 0.1% elitist politicians here to pander to you. Apologize for the flag being a little crooked. But Michigan government's crooked. So does it matter? My friends, we find ourselves in dark times. The MILegalize petition was a petition created by hundreds of thousands of Michigan citizens of all backgrounds. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Green Party members, independents, people who hate all politics, people who are fed up with the system, black folk, white folk, indigenous folk, rich people, poor people, urban people, rural people, people from Detroit, people from Grand Rapids, people from Lansing, from Flint, people from the UP, from northern Michigan, people from all across the state coming together regardless of age, sex, color, creed, ethnic origin, uniting to change the terrible policies, the brutal injustice that is cannabis prohibition, and that this crooked government in Michigan is forcing upon us with violence and with dishonesty and with fraud. This state of oppression we sought to change through peaceful, just, and lawful means by exercising our rights under Article 2, Section 9 of the Michigan Constitution of 1963. That Constitution gives us the right to petition for a period of 3 years, 7 months in between gubernatorial elections, and seeing that we get 8% of voters from the last governor's election to sign a petition, our question should be placed on the ballot. What does that mean for 2016? That means we need about 252,523 valid Michigan voter signatures. Well, MILegalize submitted over 354,000 signatures to the State Bureau of Elections on June 1st. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that the political establishment, the 0.1% of elitists who are arrogant and think they're smarter than you and better than you and that they're your overlords and that don't want you as a human being or as a person really having a voice in this democracy. And it's not really a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic, but we live in a constitutional republic with democratic mechanisms. And what we've seen in the state of Michigan is a rollback of all those democratic mechanisms. This being the final piece on the checkerboard before we have the checkmate of the death of Michigan's democracy. Call it whatever you want. I don't know what you call it. You can call it fascism. You can call it corporatism. You can just call it authoritarianism. You can just call it corruption. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you know that your voice is being excluded from participating in this year's election. Here's why. The history of petitioning in Michigan goes back to the progressive movement of the early 1900s. We first gained this right in 1908 in Michigan. In 1963, a new constitution was adopted. That constitution gave us these rights of direct democracy, including making constitutional amendments and initiative petitions. From 1963 to 1973, we had the right to petition for this 3-year, 7-month period, and Michigan citizens did. In 1973, a woman from Grand Rapids came close to enacting a petition to lower legislator pay. As a result, the legislature enacted MCL 168.472A, the rebuttable presumption that signatures over 180 days old are stale and void. Now, that in 1973 was a direct attack on the people's rights by the legislature, usurping the power of the people, we in Michigan have an equivalent right to the legislature to enact legislation. It is meant to be there as a check on the corruption of a legislature. When the legislature won't act, when they won't do what's right, when they won't do what the majority of people in Michigan want, because they're corrupted by special interests. They're corrupted by the Chamber of Commerce and big oil and gas in this instance, or whoever else is pulling the strings and passing the money around, either right in front of our faces or behind the scenes. It doesn't matter. What we do know is that most legislators, the governor, and unfortunately the court system, doesn't work for the people of the state of Michigan, doesn't serve the people of the state of Michigan. We are the people of the state of Michigan, and we submitted enough signatures to have our initiative on the ballot. And just like in 1973, the legislature, in reaction to us succeeding, attacked the right to petition once again. But I got to jump back to tell you the full history. So from 1974 to 1986, the state of Michigan didn't enforce a rebuttable presumption on signatures because Attorney General Frank Kelly, the people's lawyer, declared it unconstitutional. So when MILegalize said this was unconstitutional, we didn't just make this up. That was the state of Michigan's petition. That was the position of the people's lawyer, Frank Kelly, whose legacy now is just being chipped away at, just like all of our good legacy, being rolled back and destroyed, and we're losing our power as people. So in 1986, two petitions came about which were controversial. Petition to place a death penalty amendment on the ballot. We were actually the first state in Michigan to ban the death penalty, which I'm proud of. But it doesn't matter what I'm proud of or what I care about or what any care about. It doesn't matter what these election officials care about. The whole point of having the right to petition is to put these issues before voters, to trust the voters. Because ultimately, political power is supposed to reside with us. That's what we're taught in government class, right? But in the real world, the people, even though we have the political power, are denied the political power by the elitists, by the 0.1%, by the establishment, who don't want us to effectuate change. So in 86, there was a lawsuit called the Consumers' Power Case. There was also an initiative that would allow voters to vote on utility rate increases, which power companies didn't want. So they sued and they got the rebuttal presumption enforced. Also in 1986, the State Board of Canvassers, which is a 4-person unelected board, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, appointed by the governor, Rick Snyder, gets to make the decision on whether to update this policy. And in 1986, they created this policy that said you want to rebut the presumption of signatures more than 180 days, you have to either have everybody sign an affidavit, which for MILegalize would have been 200,000 people, or you have to have clerks verify the signatures. Well, we have 1,500 clerks in Michigan. So for MILegalize, this would have meant we would have had to send our original petitions around to these 1,500 clerks. We had to mail it. If we had an Ingham County petition, we would have had to mail a single petition possibly to the City Lansing clerk, have it sent back to us. Then to the East Lansing clerk, have it sent back to us. Then to the Stockbridge clerk, and have it sent back to us. Then to the Leslie clerk, and then have it sent back to us. Then to the Williamson clerk, and have it sent back to us. And then to the Meridian Township clerk, and have it sent back to us. Then to the Delhi Township clerk, and I probably missed a couple localities, but you can see how this could go on, right? So MILegalize prepared to do this. We followed all the rules. We knew we had this right. Petitioning has never been limited to 180 days in Michigan until June 7th, when Governor Rick Snyder signed the infamous Senate Bill 776 in reaction to MILegalize succeeding, in reaction to us succeeding. The legislature and this governor said, no, by God, we can't have the people enacting legislation again. They might try to do something, like they may try to extend the periods for recalls of someone like the governor. Or they may end this tactic of tacking an appropriation on a referendum so we don't make our bills referendum proof. Or, geez, they might even get an idea to do something like nonpartisan redistricting. We can't have the people trying to enact good policy. We can't have MILegalize ending the 20,000 arrests of adults for simple use of marijuana possession every year. How could we allow that to happen? And, geez, they want to put the money into the tax money into roads and schools and local governments. The legislature is busy right now destroying our roads, destroying our schools, and failing to fund our local governments. In fact, just yesterday a lawsuit was filed saying local government's been cheated out of $4 billion. So MILegalize came along, and we looked at the law, And we said the law, MCL 168.476, subsection 1, is actually very clear that upon receiving notification of the filing of petitions, the Board of State Canvassers shall canvass petitions to ascertain if the petitions have been signed by the requisite number of qualified and registered electors. Makes sense, right? You want to make sure that there's enough actual registered voters enacting a petition. Okay. The next section says, the qualified voter file shall be used to determine the validity of petition signatures. That's interesting. What's the qualified voter file? Well, the qualified voter file was enacted in 1997, 1998, and it finally created a state database that keeps track of Michigan's elections. It's a system that's used by the state to manage our elections. If you're in the qualified voter file, you're a registered voter. So what MILegalize did is we looked at the qualified voter file, we checked all of our signatures, and we had enough of them, and we submitted proof to the Bureau of Elections that we had enough qualified electors, enough sufficient signatures, over 252,523, to place an initiative on the ballot. But the Board of Canvassers said, no, you can't do that. Rebutting the presumption, which simply means showing that the signature is not a duplicate and that the person's registered to vote, which we did, we're not going to allow you to do that with our own database, which we're required to use by state law. You're going to have to use this 1986 policy and go around to the 1,500 clerks. Okay, fine. Even though it's so laborious and ridiculous and it was designed to prevent ballot access, fine, we'll play along. And we tried to do that. But the clerks refused to do it. They don't have any legal duty to do it. They don't have to do it. No money's ever been appropriated. That's a violation of the Headley Amendment. The state government's never trained workers to do this. The clerks have never done it. They don't even know what they're doing. And to top it off, the Bureau of Elections told the clerks, you don't have to do it. So MILegalize is in a position where we've been petitioning, we've been following the laws, we've been following the rules, we can prove our signatures are valid, and the state is saying you have to comply with this policy that they know is impossible to comply with, and at the same time they're telling the clerks you don't have to help MILegalize or other campaigns rebut. They're frustrating our ability to comply with the policy they're saying we have to comply with. It's an impossibility. So the legal standards here are that a state cannot place an undue burden on the right to petition. The right of the initiative petition is not a constitutionally guaranteed right. Only 24 states have it. It's a very important right that we have secured here in Michigan, in which these cretins in the legislature and the governor and others are trying to undermine. Because when MILegalize came along and showed that, wait a minute, you can use the qualified voter file for this. You don't have to go through this laborious process with clerks. That's impossible. The establishment freaked out because they said not only are these people going to legalize marijuana, and not only are they going to start putting tax money and fixing our roads and fixing our schools and funding our local governments, these do-gooders might try to do something else. They may do redistricting next. Who knows? They may try to pass some laws limiting corruption. Oh my God, we can't have that. And then they got real freaked out about the anti-fracking petition, which didn't collect enough signatures to qualify, but conceivably probably could, considering you have 3 years, 7 months. So what did the legislature do? They didn't come up with a solution for us to rebut signatures. No, they ignored that. They instead ramrodded through SB 776 to, for the first time ever, enact a 180-day limit in Michigan just here in June of 2016. And the legislature passed this supposedly with immediate effect, although they didn't even have the constitutional votes to do it. So all up and down the way, you see the state violating the Constitution, violating statutory law, creating these policies they know they're impossible to comply with, all to frustrate the ability of you, Joe Citizen, the good people, the salt of this earth. This is your country, this is your state, this is your government, and they've taken it from you, and they're going to keep taking it from you. And what are you going to do about it? People said to us, they said, you don't like the laws, you don't like the marijuana laws, why don't you change the law? And then we said, okay, we'll play by the rules and we'll play fair. We'll work very hard. We're not a professional campaign. We didn't have millions of dollars up front to do this. We're not big labor groups. We're not the Chamber of Commerce. We're not Dick DeVos. We're not billionaires like George Soros. We're going to buy ballot access because that's what Michigan has. It's a pay-to-play system. It was designed to be a citizen's tool, but it's a pay-to-play system, and the establishment wants it that way. They don't want you having a voice in the process. Okay, I don't want to say the entire system's rigged, 'cause I don't want to believe that. I'm an attorney. I see the system work sometimes. I see the system not work sometimes. You see guilty men go free. You see innocent men go to jail. It happens. It's an imperfect system. We're human beings. That's part of the human drama. So I don't want to tell you that the entire system is a failure. Not every legislator is crooked. But in this instance, the system was rigged. It is corrupt. It has been corrupted. Special interests, including the Chamber of Commerce, big oil and gas, got behind the scenes and primarily tried to skunk the anti-fracking petition based on the trail we blazed. We figured out a way to give the key back to the people. Again, this isn't a partisan thing. I'm a member of the Democratic Party, but our group is made up of everybody, and we came together. And that's what the establishment fears. They don't want to see people coming together on a nonpartisan basis, trying to do good. Okay? They do their work in the darkness. Evil deeds are done under the cover of darkness. Everything we did is transparent. All the money we spend is online on our campaign finance reports. We raised over $1 million ready to comply with this policy that the state then told us there's no way to comply with. Sorry, your signatures don't count. So those 200,000 people that signed the petition more than 180 days, we gave proof of 137,000 of them that we could prove just using the state's own database for registered to vote, valid signatures. There's also a law in Michigan that says if you sign a petition twice, it's a crime. You can go to jail for exercising your First Amendment right. So those people couldn't sign again. And even if they did sign again, you say, the state wouldn't prosecute these people for exercising First Amendment right. Yeah, who knows? We're not going to encourage people to violate the law. We're trying to play by the rules. We're the good guys. We're the ones following the rules. It's the state government that doesn't care about the law or the rules, just makes them up as they go, or in reaction to someone playing by the rules and figuring out a fair way to apply the rules, decides to make the system more unfair and more hard. And a lot of people say, well, you should be able to do this in 180 days. I'm sorry, nobody does it in 180 days. The only people doing 180 days are established political groups or billionaires that buy ballot access. It costs a couple $1 million to do this process. Normal human beings, good people who care about their system and who want to make a difference and who have a normal life, a family, a job, things to do, can't spend 6 months full-time petitioning on the streets every single day. That is what it takes to qualify for ballot access. It is meant to be hard. It is very hard. People rarely qualify for ballot access. There's not a single other petition that qualified for access this year other than us, and they denied us. That shows you how hard it is to do. So people who think that this is easy or it should be 180 days, most of them don't understand it. They don't understand that it's a pay-to-play system where you buy ballot access. So what did we do? We figured out a way to return that power to the people, and this corrupt legislature took it away, and now they're denying us a vote this year. We would have been the most popular thing on the ballot. We're more popular than Donald Trump. We're more popular than Hillary Clinton, and we would have created 25 to 50,000 jobs in Michigan. We would have led by being the first state in the Midwest to enact marijuana legalization, which we know is coming. California, Arizona, Nevada, Massachusetts, Maine, other states, they're all going legal. Michigan's going to be left in the dust. No relentless positive action, no leadership here, no being the best here. We're going to be followers. We're going to be last. And when the system is set up, one of the reasons we were probably skunked by the establishment, besides not wanting to give power, political power to the people, is that they want the system to be set up for their cronies. They want to create high barriers to market access so that only people with money or political access are going to be able to make all the money in the new marijuana market. Whereas we try to make that available to anybody, to every American citizen, equal rights, equality. See, we based our campaign on American values of freedom, and of liberty, and of reason. Equality before the law. Not special privileges and special interests and special access. So we have a very disconcerting situation here. We filed a lawsuit to challenge this in the Court of Claims. The Court of Claims issued an opinion that completely ignored that we submitted with the state's own database proof of the voters, completely ignored that the state is supposed to use this database to canvass the petitions, and completely ignored that the policy they're saying we have to comply with is impossible to comply with. That's not a very honest legal opinion, folks. I hate to tell you. But it's not. So we appeal to the Court of Appeals. What did the Court of Appeals do? Say, in one sentence, sorry, this appeal lacks merit. We're not going to take the case. And the Michigan Supreme Court said on the same day, sorry, the questions presented herein are not worthy of our review. So the entire Supreme Court, all Democrats, all Republicans, just killed your right to vote. This isn't a partisan issue. So when the elections come up, you got to make sure that none of these people are ever elected again. Democrat and Republican, toss the bums out. Now, I want to be clear here. When this process came about in the legislature in 2016, enacted these limits on petitioning for the first time, the Democrats did stand against it, so they deserve applause. Particularly, there were a few of them. I won't name them because they'll probably get in trouble if I name them here. And there were a few Republicans that voted against it, and they deserve some credit too. But most of the Republican Party skunked us. And when it comes down to it, this isn't a partisan issue. Members of both parties, the political elites, do not want the people having power. We never had any high-level political officials, other than a couple legislators, come out and support us. We never had anyone who had the courage to even take a stance on cannabis legalization when we know about 70% of Michigan citizens support it, particularly when the money goes to roads and schools. We never had any of these top-level political officials come out and cry foul that the state was violating your constitutional rights, not just ours, yours, all of you, regardless of your political persuasion. Your ability to have your voice heard in the process has now been taken away. Did Bill Schuette stand up for you? No, he didn't. Did Brian Calley stand up for you? No, he didn't. Did Gretchen Whitmer stand up for you? No, she was AWOL. She hasn't said a thing. Did Dan Kildee stand up for you? I saw Dan Kildee the other day. I asked him about it. He didn't even know what was going on. Were you not paying attention? Okay, you're either lying or you're not paying attention. Either way, all four of you are completely disqualified to be our next governor. If you don't have the courage to, first of all, take a stand on marijuana legalization, if you're not for it, have the courage to say it. You politicians are so scripted and so just spineless. And this is why we have so many problems, because you don't stand for anything. You get up there and you pander and you tell us you support us and you're for the middle class, rah, rah, rah. No, you're 0.1% arrogant elitists. You're part of the establishment. You're part of the problem. You've attacked our rights. You haven't stood up for our rights. As the old saying goes, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Good men and good women to do nothing. And they did nothing. That tells you who they are and what they stand for. Now, they'll probably come out after this and say, well, yeah. It's BS, folks. You got to realize most of your politicians are crooked. Not all of them. You got to realize the judges in this instance didn't protect you. Their job is to step in as a check and balance on the legislative and executive branches when they fail. They failed too. And this power we have, the initiative, was our check and balance on a corrupt system. And you know what they did is they just took it away. So, where does that leave us now? It leaves us without this initiative on the 2016 ballot. MILegalize will appeal this case to the United States Supreme Court. There will probably not be enough time to get this on the 2016 ballot. So those jobs and the tax revenue and fixing the schools and fixing up the roads and funding local governments and ending the police state and the militarization of police and the racial tensions that go along with that and all the waste of taxpayer money, chasing people down for a plant and all the suppression, stopping these poor epileptic kids who are having seizures from being able to get access to medical marijuana. Those heartless bastards in the legislature are going to keep that system in place. The governor is going to keep that system in place. See, the governor doesn't want you to have the ability to change laws because you might just change that recall law and we might actually be able to get rid of Rick Snyder. So, despair is understandable. Discouragement is understandable. But you can't let these people put us down. That is what they want to do. They want to take away their rights. They want you to be weak. They want you to feel that you can't make a change. You can't make a difference. That's how they want you to feel. They want you to be a serf. They want to be your overlord. The more beaten down and downtrodden you are and dependent on them and you believe the system's so corrupt it's not worth participating in, they're going to show up. The corrupt people are going to show up, and it's just going to get worse, which is another big problem here where the Supreme Court really screwed up. Because by taking away this reform mechanism, they've just accelerated the decline of our society. I mean, we are facing some serious issues in America. We always do. And in many ways, things are a lot better, with racial tensions and things like that. But here in Michigan, we got major problems. We got this emergency manager law taking away our democracy. We got all these assaults on the right to petition, the right to referendum, the right to recall. They've taken all that away from us. And we wonder why we can't have good legislators. They've completely gerrymandered every political district. Both parties are part of that corruption. And they're not going to fix it. You think that these partisan people in 2018 or 2020 are going to fix political districts? No, they're not. That's not what they do. So what we need leaders in Michigan. We need people to step up, good people. You can disagree. We have to get to a point where you can disagree and disagree respectively, and we can have debates, and we can use reason again, and we can love and respect each other, and we can have this thriving democracy that's a marketplace of ideas, and we're not so scared and spineless that we can't let the people participate in it. Because by not allowing people to participate, we're just going to exacerbate and accelerate the decline of our civilization. The energy of our people is our greatest asset. The people in the legislature aren't the best among us. They're probably some of the worst. I mean, I sometimes wonder if we'd be better off. You could just take a random selection of a bunch of prisoners from the Michigan Department of Corrections. They'd probably run just about as ethical government as our legislature. And I'm being a little over the top here. I know that. There are some good legislators. There are some good people, good heart. But there's a lot of rotten ones. It's not just a bad apple or two. There is a lot of rotten stuff in the system. And we tried to change that, and we were denied. So as a Michigan citizen, you have to realize how important this battle is. And when this election comes up in 2016, you cannot support a politician or a party that doesn't stand for your rights. It is time to vote the bums out and come together. Liberals and conservatives should be together on American values, on fair play and justice in the system and equality. We shouldn't have voter disenfranchisement. Come on. America and Michigan are supposed to be about protecting voters' rights and protecting the rights of minorities and protecting our freedoms. And we're supposed to have checks and balances. And the more we get away from that and disregard that, we should just expect to have crappy government that poisons lead pipes, that can't fix the roads, that's letting our school children down. I mean, by God, what is wrong with these people? The only way it's going to change is for you to get involved. You to get involved. Don't let them convince you that the system's so rotten you shouldn't get involved. We have to get involved, and we have to take the system back for us. Donald Trump isn't going to do it. Hillary Clinton isn't going to do it. Rick Snyder's not going to do it. Gretchen Whitmer's not going to do it. You have to do it. Those people don't work for you. They might tell you they do, and they're going to pretend to and get up there with their scripted speeches and their teleprompters. And they're going to make sure their public appearances are limited. I mean, look at me here. Look at this. I'm just here just talking to you as a human being. I don't need any of that. When you're real and you're honest and you speak from the heart, you might speak a little off the cuff. It may not be all polished, but at least you're real. At least you're honest. At least you're not a puppet. We can't have these puppet masters playing us anymore, folks. And that's what they're doing. MILegalize figured out a way to put the power back in your hands, and they took it away, and they took it away for everybody. This isn't about marijuana legalization anymore. If you don't support legalizing marijuana, and you don't want to put all that money into roads and schools and local government, you're happy with the crappy roads we have, you're happy with failing schools, you want these poor kids to grow up without a good education, so then what? They make lower wages, we have lower property values, there's more crime, people can't think and can't reason, so they can't participate and make government better. Education benefits us all. We have to get back to this holistic sense that we are all in this together. And our politicians, most of them don't understand that. And I know all you understand that. So this is a message from us at MILegalize to you to say that we're not giving up this fight. We're going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We're going to continue to fight despite, and in fact, because of the complete breakdown of our three systems, our three branches of government here in Michigan. So don't give up. The future can be bright, but it'll only be bright if you participate. Get involved. Get involved. Start running for your local offices. Start showing up at the city halls. Start raising hell. Yes, start raising hell. Because these people need to hear it. We know that Governor Snyder can't walk through the streets of Detroit without a team of security guards. I could walk through the hood anywhere. People come out and shake my hand. They say, hey, thank you for fighting for our freedom. I say, thank you, brother, for helping. See, our politicians are scared of the people, and that's why they take away your rights. They're scared of you. And they should be. Because we have the political power. And we know how bad things are getting. And at some point, hopefully, the system doesn't collapse, but we come together to start making things better again. November 2016 is going to be our first chance. You're going to be probably denied the right to vote on our initiative and to create this better policy, at least with cannabis legalization and funding roads and schools in your local communities. So you're probably going to continue to see all of our infrastructure collapse over the next couple of years as these radicals in government continue to destroy what these past generations have built up for us and bequeathed to us. They're destroying not only our infrastructure, but they're destroying our culture and our traditions, our democratic traditions. I'm talking democratic with a small d here. We live in a constitutional republic, but it has democratic mechanisms, and we have those for a reason. And history has shown us those are important. These petty tyrants today, they don't adhere to constitutional values. They may take an oath, but for a lot of them, it's meaningless. The First Amendment rights of everybody who signed the MILegalize petition have been used as toilet paper by most of the politicians, by the Board of Canvassers, by the governor, and by our courts, which really pains me. I hope all the judges on the Supreme Court see this video, because I want you to know I have had so many people come up to me on the streets before you issued your ruling and said to me, we support you, but you're not going to get justice. The system is corrupt. The system is rigged. And I wanted to say, no, I know you feel that way, but we have to have hope for justice. When the majority of people, and I don't know if it's a majority, but it's a lot, it's too many. It's too many. Even one citizen who believes the system is corrupt and rigged and it's hopeless is too many. But when you have as many as we do now, so many people believing that, look what they did to MILegalize. Look what they did to Flint. Of course it's corrupt. This is a problem for all of us. And it's only going to make everything worse for everybody. None of us live in a bubble. You can't wall yourselves off if society gets worse and worse, and if we lose our democratic traditions, and if we lose our love and respect for each other, if we lose our equality and our community. Remember, we're all one. We're not black. We're not white. We're human beings, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Don't let these oppressors take that away from you. That spirit. They can kill our initiative, but they cannot kill that spirit. So you politicians out there watching this, you better understand that the people of Michigan are on to your game. And to the judges out there who have a chance to do justice every day, by God, please do some justice. We need it. People don't believe the system is honest. I know the system can be honest, but I also know it can be dishonest. In this situation, it's totally dishonest. The state is using a policy they know to be impossible to comply with as a technicality to keep us off the ballot. And the courts never even acknowledged it or discussed it. We didn't even get a hearing. We didn't even have 5 minutes in front of a judge where one of our lawyers could say, wait, Your Honor, do you realize some of these facts? So it's a dark day for Michigan. There's no doubt about it. We can't put much of a silver lining on it. But I want to encourage you again, do not give up. The elitists and the establishment want you to give up. They're happy right now. They're popping bottles of champagne. Death to democracy. That's what they're probably doing. Well, we're preparing to hold a funeral for our democratic traditions in Michigan. But it's not over, folks. We're not dead. They're not going to kill us, and they're not going to kill the spirit of free humanity. So get involved. Don't give up. To those of you that helped the MILegalize petition, you are heroes. You are activists. You are patriots. You are good community members. You are good folk who did good deeds. And there is nothing but pride and honor that you should feel. You did better work than these politicians. You participated and you made a difference. And again, this isn't over. We just got started. If they deny us off the ballot, we're going to come back, and we're going to come back even stronger. And we may not just be coming back with marijuana legalization. We may be coming back with a whole slate of reform to finally rebuild this great state. This state, this beautiful peninsula, as we look about us, we're not going to let it just be put in the trash by Rick Snyder or the Board of Canvassers and the Michigan Supreme Court. They may want to trash it, but we're going to keep shining it up, cleaning it up, trying to create that beautiful, shining city on a hill that's an example. We want to lead here in Michigan. We want to be the best. We don't want relentless negative action. We don't want relentless oppression, relentless dishonesty and fraud in our government. We want ethics. We want transparency. We want justice. We want freedom. We want integrity. And we want politicians, regardless of their party, to remember that they owe a duty to all of us. You owe a duty to even those people in the other party you disagree with. And you have a duty to engage in fair play. Now, I know all that's out the window here with MILegalize because of the blatant voter disenfranchisement we've had here today. But again, folks, this can be a rallying cry. This can be a rallying point. Enough of you are mad. I get it. I know you want to take drastic measures to do something. You're wondering, what do we do? I'm telling you what you do. You make sure that this is the highest voter turnout we've ever had, and you vote every crooked politician out. And if you got a good politician, and there are some, you make sure you get out, you vote, you keep them in, and you make sure you shake their hand, you look them in the eye, and say, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And for those that are too cowardly to take petitions, to take positions, you make sure you let them know. You won't tolerate it. They won't get your vote. Ever. That's what we can do. So it starts this November. Starts today. Get involved. After this November, those of you who are MILegalize supporters who saw this corruption in government, go to your local town halls. Start getting involved. Start getting on those boards. Start running for state rep. Start running for Congress. And there will be some people running for Attorney General and Governor that aren't crooked. And we got to make sure that united, we support those people, regardless of party. We need a better system, plain and simple. I know y'all know that. So thank you again to all the MILegalize supporters. Thank you to everyone who supported us. We will not give up this fight. We are fighting for more than marijuana legalization. We are fighting for more than fixing the roads and schools and funding our local communities and improving safety and improving police relations and all those things. We are now fighting for the very character of our society, whether it's going to be a democratic-oriented society or whether it's going to be an elitist, top-down oligarchy. And I know most of us don't want that elitist, top-down oligarchy. So remember, we are the majority. We are the moral majority. We have the moral high ground. This is a righteous battle, and we are on the right side of history. So whatever you do, don't give up, don't give in, take the power back. Power to the people. MILegalize won. We didn't give up. We won't give up. Join the movement today. Go to MILegalize.com if you want to read our pleadings. Make sure you call your politicians today and tell them how mad you are. Tell them you want them to enact our petition. The legislature could still enact it. If they had any decency, they would. So make your voice heard. This is Jeff Hank, Executive Director of MILegalize, signing off. God bless everybody in the state of Michigan who believes in freedom and justice. And for those of you outside the state of Michigan seeing this message, this is a message of distress. We need your help. If they destroy the state of Michigan here in the homeland, the place where we have all the fresh water, the place that built the middle class, the place where the spirit of Detroit was so great, helped build this country up, come to our aid here and come to the aid of the countrymen wherever you are, from coast to coast, from north to south. Keep fighting the fight against corruption. That's what this struggle is about. That is the human struggle. This is a struggle for the power of the people versus the power over the oppressors. And the oppressors only win if we give up. Remember that. Good will triumph over evil as long as you don't sit on the sidelines. Jeff Hank once again, signing off.